by welcoming in National Review staff writer and Independent Women's Forum visiting fellow Caroline Downey, and TikTok influencer and Gen Z political commentator Link Lauren. Link, if you can explain the brat thing to me very slowly, because I'm old, please.
Explaining the brat phenomenon to you right now in 5 minutes would be like explaining Chinese to Helen Keller. What I can say is, by any standard, Kamala Harris is a viral sensation. She's tapped into Gen Z, millennials, white suburban women. You go to any yoga or Pilates class right now, they are ready to vote and mobilize for Kamala Harris. However, there is a big difference between virality and electoral success. We've got a long way to go between now and November 5th, and things are going to shake out. Kamala Harris, she's being propped up by the mainstream media. They're giving her a pass. They're making her this Obama 2008 godlike figure who can do no wrong. But everybody buckle up, sit tight. It's going to be a wild ride. I think things are going to even out. She's hot to trot. She's going to come back down to earth.
Caroline, I mean, the Obama comparison, I sort of get it. Certainly they are really going to try to replicate that. But I think a big problem with that plan is she's not Obama. She's not anywhere near as talented as Barack Obama, Caroline. And that's maybe a flaw in the plan.
Absolutely, Guy. And, you know, to Link's point, The Atlantic said that virality is no guarantee for victory. And about this whole brat aesthetic, Gen Z, there's no mistaking, loves to lean into these bizarre archetypes. But at the end of the day, I mean, the artist behind the album herself defined brat as a messy, blunt, and volatile female who relishes the spotlight. So my question is, why is Kamala so eager to embrace this as a compliment? I mean, when you think about it, she has more contempt and disdain for our republic's norms. So in that way, it's accurate. Remember that she once laughed at Biden when he tried to argue that the Constitution is actually an obstacle to instituting a gun ban via executive order. So she does have this attitude of entitled, you know, disdain for the Constitution. If I want something, I'm going to get it. But, you know, this is an epithet. Brat is not something that she should take as an accolade.
But I guess you're kind of just like owning it. That's what you're supposed to do. It's relevant. Here's this pop star saying she's brat. So she's like, why, yes, I am. And I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think a lot of people are like, whatever that means, you know, fine, congratulations, you're brat. The other one is coconut tree. Everyone that I know on the left in their bio now has the emojis of a coconut and a tree because they're for Kamala Harris. And I guess they're, again, just sort of leaning into this strange phrase that she uses and then does her big laugh falling out of a coconut tree. Link, I guess it's like a show of solidarity. Is it appealing to people who are not in that demographic?
Absolutely not. Most Americans are less focused on this coconut tree Kamala meme situation. They're more focused on how they're going to keep a roof over their head. Americans are focused on kitchen table issues right now, like how can I afford gas, groceries, how can I afford a home? This is what Americans are focused on. They're not focused on these viral memes. I think in time they'll remember how much of an abject failure Kamala Harris has been. She was an abject failure in 2020. She didn't even make it to the Iowa caucus. She's been an abject failure as vice president. She was the border czar and then oversaw the worst immigration crisis in American history. So when people learn about her record, I think they'll come home to realize she is not the moment.
I kind of wonder, this may be some homework for you, Caroline, what did coconuts cost in 2019 versus today? Or if you wanted to install a beautiful coconut tree in your backyard, what did that cost, let's say 5 years ago versus today? That might be closer to people's overall concern than showing that they're cool with their emojis and their memes, but it's what they're running with. It's what Democrats on the left always do. Sometimes it works for them, sometimes not so much. I think the quality of the candidate himself or herself matters more than anything else. Link, Caroline, and Caroline, you have to get back to me on that. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you.